Look, let's tell you about the matches off, shall we? This should take quite a while. Of course, the latest to go is the one which should have been the only match that took place at 3 o'clock this afternoon, but Aston Villa against Burnley called off around 10 minutes ago. So all of those matches postponed today. The only match still scheduled to take place in the Premier League today, of course, is Leeds against Arsenal at 5:30. For a travelling Arsenal fan, I would hold your breath. In the Championship, the games at Cardiff, Coventry, Millwall, QPR and Reading have all gone. In League One, the matches at Wimbledon, Bolton, Burton, Gillingham, Lincoln and Sheffield Wednesday are off.
Because it's windy up there.
And in League Two, the matches at Carlisle and Colchester, Crawley, Forest Green, Northampton, Port Vale, Scunthorpe and Swindon, all off. Just 4 games have survived in League Two. One game that has survived, by the way, in the Championship was the early kick-off, the 12:30 game. It's Middlesbrough 0, Bournemouth 0 in the early stages. Of course, if Bournemouth win, they'll go to the top of the table. But Middlesbrough have never lost at home to Bournemouth. And they have played frequently. They've met on 10 previous occasions, and Borough have never lost any of those 10. It's goalless at the moment. Bournemouth with the best away record in the Championship, just the 1 defeat so far. But generally speaking, in the first half hour or so, Middlesbrough have had the better of things. Oh, goodness me, but as I speak, what an opportunity has just come and gone for Dominic Solanke there. Just headed past the post from very close range indeed. Bit of a surprise for a man who's got 17 goals so far this season. We'll concentrate on football very shortly indeed. But look, in the studio today, we've got our answer to Whitty and Valence and Harris and the rest with our 4 boys here. So, look, we don't want to pretend we've got any COVID expertise because obviously we haven't. But, Dawes, what do you think? You've seen what's happened to the Premier League today and the lower divisions. In your view, is the best policy to play to play games when possible, or do you anticipate there will be some sort of break?
I was thinking that, Jeff, and now you see another game taken away from us and the disappointment, the preparation. And it's hard. Some managers are going to want that because it depends what wave you're on. You see Steven Gerrard coming out yesterday. He wanted to keep playing. They're in a great mood. I seen Thomas Tuchel come out in midweek and I thought credit to him after he's drawn against Everton, he's lost Werner, he's lost Lukaku, and you start going, we still need to keep playing because if we stop for 2 weeks, is that going to stop it completely? We haven't got the answers here, Jeff. That is the problem. Is it going to be long periods? Is it going to be without fans? We haven't got the answers. But the problem is people's safety and players are testing positive. So we're in such hard time. The pandemic, fans as well travelling today. You see the Villa-Burnley game. Again, they're going to have travelled. It's called off so late. I think if it's a day in advance, no problem. If we can keep playing, of course, it's the best, but safety is the most important, Jeff. It really is.
But here's an anomaly, Boydie. How is it that there are no games called off in Scotland today? I don't understand it.
Because we made this strong stuff. Haven't we, my friend?
Easy, kid. It's all right. It's windier up there.
It's windier up there.
Blows it away.
No, like,
it's a serious question.
Yeah, no, I know.
I just don't understand that at all.
It's a difficult one, as Doss said there as well. You want to keep playing. I think in Scotland we've got the winter break coming up for the teams in the Premiership, so you can see that if you get to that, you're going to have that break anyway. But as Doss said there, you just don't know what's going to happen, and you've got to leave it up to the medical experts who have guided us through this tough period so far. It's been very difficult, as Doss touched on there as well, the fans travelling to games. But I think the last thing you want is, for people to be unwell. It's meant to be a time of celebration and Christmas and New Year coming up and everything. So the most important thing is people's health. I'm sure, to touch on, the games played, yes, you want to keep them playing because I think it gives everybody something to watch. But first and foremost, the safety has got to be there. But I think, and it's a difficult one for managers as well, because yes, they'll want the games to be played, because the last thing you want is to be playing Saturday or Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, and then keep rolling over towards the end of the season.
They've obviously done tests in Scotland with the lads, and obviously we've had it down in England here. Has it been, when was the last COVID thing in Scotland, and our players been tested positive.
No, there is people.
Because I can't believe that there hasn't been anybody from the lads in Scotland.
No, there is
a couple
people,
must have tested positive, but the games are still going on.
Yeah, but there has been players missed games. You know, Dundee United go to Rangers today with a decimated squad, but they've found a way to get it on in terms of if you've got X amount of players, you're going to go and play the games.
Yeah.
You know, I think they've managed to find a way to get it on. But listen, we don't know. You look at Aston Villa and Burnley today. They've obviously tested this morning. The results have came back. We don't know how many Burnley players or Aston Villa players, whatever it may be, are actually missing. So you can't turn around and say if you've got... they might not even have 13 players.
Why do they not say the names of the players?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? You know, should clubs be required to give the names of the players who are suffering from COVID?
Merce, would you want to know?
Well, I think it's fair to know. I think if you've got 3 players that have got it and they've made one Premier League appearance all season, I just don't think that counts.
No. Jurgen Klopp and Tuchel both named the players this week.
Yeah, and they were big players.
Suffering from
big players.
COVID.
Big players. And they played the games. You know, it could come back to bite Chelsea. You know, Chelsea drew at home to Everton. I mean, Liverpool want to get their game on. It's Newcastle at home. You want to get that game on, and you can afford to probably have a couple of players out. But again, we're fortunate as well. You know, they had a couple of lucky breaks. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem. And then you see Man United and you don't hear who the players are, and they get their game called off against Brentford. Now, Brentford had to go to Newcastle 2 weeks ago in one of the biggest games of the season for them without Tony. No, not that game, another game without Tony. They played a game without Tony, Ethan Pinnock, you know, and these are big players. Them 2 players are the equivalent of... That's like having 8 players out at Man United. You know, they're big players for these clubs that are not massive like the big boys. I think we need to keep on... You know, I think... You know, they've got to get back in the bubbles and they've got to start, you know, looking after themselves.
There must be more than 1 or 2. There has to be.
You can't just have a game called off for 1 or 2 people.
Arsenal Leeds this afternoon. I look at Leeds' squad list that are injured. If there's any team that needs a game off, it's Leeds. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the list goes on, 7, 8. So there has to be more than 2 or 3 COVID positive tests in a changing room and a team to get it cancelled. It can't be...
Is there a particular regulation where the FA or the Premier League say, OK, you've got X amount of players out within that squad? It's
been judged on a match-by-match basis.
All right, OK.
At the moment. Look, Alan, I mean, if it came to playing behind closed doors again, if that was the only way to carry on, would that be acceptable?
Well, we've already did that, but the problem apparently is the players getting it at the moment. So, we're hoping the players are going to be all right, and then do we want that fixture backlog that we had? I mean, look, we did it before. We might have to do it again if you're going to finish the season. If you want to finish the season, then that might be the only way to go. We like Dr. Dawson, who started the whole thing, started the whole thing out there. It's such a difficult one where. Do we want to play behind? No, of course, as players we don't want to play behind closed doors. I did it as a professional and it was weird, genuinely weird. We had a spell a year and a half ago where we did it for 6, 8 months, for goodness sake, whatever we did it for. We don't really want that again.
No, nor do the fans want that, obviously.
No.
By the way, playing behind closed doors was just for you at United.
To be fair, aye. Listen, it was a sold out every time you knew I was not. But we don't really... If it gets the season over, would you want to play behind closed doors? No, you don't really. The fans want to come to the game. And by the way, imagine being on that M6 right now, all the Burnley fans have gone to Aston Villa, the game's off. I mean, John Dyche might be like, well, it's maybe done us a bit of a favour, but Steven Gerrard didn't want the game off.
Of course, Watford game that was called off.
I wouldn't have thought anyway.
Watford game that was called off earlier this week at Burnley. I mean, Watford did the best that they could because they reimbursed all of their supporters the ticket price, and also those who were travelling on official transport. They got their money back for that as well. But look, it's still a doubt of your life, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and here's a difficulty, and it's a moral judgment. I don't want to ask you guys to make the moral judgment, but in Italy, 98% players in Serie A are double vaccinated, and games there are carrying on with no issues whatsoever. And I don't think we should discuss it because we'll probably just leave it there.
But it's still quite a big thing,
It's inconsistency. You know, I think when you look at Germany as well...
Well, Germany have taken a real... Certainly in Bavaria, have taken a real stance in terms of if you go against of what the protocol, what they would like you to have, there's a situation where players will not be paid if they're not available. So if you haven't had a vax or a booster or some immunisation, there is a legal precedence now for some of the clubs not to play the players if they're not available because of this specific problem. And I'm not saying it's going to come here.
I think we need to be careful with that one as well, though.
Yeah, of course. But listen,
I mean,
things are nightmare.
Alan Pace, the Burnley chairman's been saying, look, the Premier League need to give more notice of games being called off because they've had 2 games called off now at very short notice. But how the heck do they do that? Because it's a situation that changes day by day.